What is going on, YouTube family, and happy new year. Wanted to start out by saying thank you guys so much for a great 2024. In 2025, I am going to do everything in my power to make sure that I bring you guys more content more consistently. So what better day to start than right now. So just wanted to go over a couple things. We are behind the wheel of a 2025 CX-90 Turbo S Premium Plus. A couple things about this vehicle that I've noticed in my last few months interacting with them on a daily basis. And I want to go over those things with you that I've noticed and give Mazda a couple of pointers that I've gotten from customer feedback that I think you guys should definitely take heed to, only because this vehicle is almost perfect. Just a couple of things about it that need to be tweaked, and you've really got an excellent formula on your hands. Let's go ahead and get all the lighting on and step out really quick and show you guys a quick walk around. Now, we have done a full review of this vehicle before, so I'm not going to go too in depth with everything. Just want to go over a couple of things, like I said, that I think that if changed would make for a nearly perfect vehicle. So starting out, the styling of this vehicle as it sits is just gorgeous. I mean, it's really got some really nice lines. The wheels look fantastic. The design with the turn signals built into the grille itself is a very, very unique touch, and I think it looks really, really nice. It's got a wide, low sort of stance to it, and I think that lends to, again, a very, very nice cohesive design. 21-inch wheels on this model are standard, and I think they look good too. They're machine finished and painted. The chrome strip down the side that says Mazda is a nice touch too. I would see a lot of people blacking that out. And then back here, full LED illumination as well. Please forgive the wind. We're not going to be out here too long. But in white especially, I think this is a very, very good looking vehicle. And it looks good in pretty much all of the colors that it comes optional in. But I do think that white is very nice. You do get these 90-degree opening doors, which parents will absolutely love. This one, being the top trim, gets heated and cooled second row, and a center console built in that is not removable. Panoramic roof is standard at this level, and you do get sunshades as well. But today's video is mostly going to be about the driving dynamics, because I think that is the biggest thing that sort of plagues this model. The engine itself is gold. It's an inline 6 turbo, 340 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque. The engine is not the problem. I think it's going to be more so this 8-speed in-house design transmission. The transmission is fine, but it is not as smooth as some other vehicles in the class. And then there's literally a space behind you, and you pull out into the middle of the street because you are a genius. Smile and wave, guys. Starting out the new year with stupidity. Don't you love it? Anyway, so inline 6 is naturally a smooth motor in its design, but the transmission sometimes can be a little, well, not smooth, and the combination of the two just feels wrong. So I'm not sure if Mazda just needs to go back and recalibrate the transmission itself, if it's something as simple as a software update that will fix some of its jerking sort of nature. But whatever it is, Mazda, please go back into your transmission and figure that part out. Now, we haven't had any issues with these transmissions. No service issues, no failures, no recalls, no none of that. But just for someone who knows the direction that Mazda is trying to go with this vehicle, leaning more towards the premium side of the brand, the transmission needs to be buttery smooth, just like the engine. Speaking of the engine, so 340 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque. Sometimes I'm looking for the rest of those figures. On paper, that sounds like a decent amount, and it is. And maybe it's just that the vehicle's engine itself is so smooth and that there's minimal turbo lag that you really don't get a chance to feel it. But it doesn't feel as powerful as the number suggests sometimes. Now, the way that it moves would suggest that all the power is there. But again, we're talking about feeling. And that's to the floor. I did lift off a little bit there at the end. And again, speedometer's moving right along. And, you know, this is a nearly 5,000 pound vehicle, so we'll give it some grace. But the engine itself it feels, it almost feels underpowered in certain situations. The standard tune of this engine produces 280 horsepower and I think 332 pound-feet of torque. And between the two, just from a feeling standpoint, I can't really tell the difference. Besides saying, you know, on paper, that's what we know for a fact, that this tune of the engine has more power. But besides that, they also need to work on the ride. This vehicle should absolutely have adaptive dampers to assist and aid in the ride quality with this vehicle. Again, it's not horrible, but it is choppier than other things in its class. And you could say, well, it's got 21-inch wheels and low-profile tires. That is true. But there are other vehicles with oversized wheels and thinner tires, and they don't crash over bumps the way that this does. So definitely need to work on the suspension calibration. I definitely appreciate the fact that it's got a double wishbone front suspension, but it definitely needs work on its calibration for sure. Just one vehicle straight out the gate that I can think of that rides better with or without adaptive dampers is the Acura MDX, for sure. Now, yes, that is a higher priced vehicle, which also has a double wishbone suspension. But again, it just, even something like a Hyundai Palisade rides better, or Kia Telluride. They both ride better than this vehicle and have a much more supple suspension. So that is another place where I think Mazda needs to work on, is the ride. The handling is great. The handling is really, really good, especially for something this size. But the ride definitely could use some work. Also, wind noise, road noise, and just overall quality of the exterior panels. While everything lines up and build quality looks fantastic, everything is properly spaced and there are no huge gaps between panels and things like that. When I close the door of this car, it doesn't have that solid sounding close that you would associate with a premium near luxury vehicle. The panel actually, from the outside, you can see it shake. So it's got a little bit of a tinny feel in the build quality, and I think that's something else that needs to be addressed as well. But the steering of this car, leave it alone. The steering is perfect. It's well weighted, it's got decent feedback, and it is very precise, which is not something you could say of a Hyundai Palisade or a Kia Telluride or, you know, other vehicles in the class. This definitely outhandles anything even remotely close to it. So credit where credit is due. The engine is super smooth, the handling is phenomenal, but the transmission could use a little bit of work, and the ride definitely needs to be worked on, as well as, like I said, the quietness of the cabin. The cabin is just a little loud But again, for a lot of people, it's totally fine and tolerable. But if Mazda is going to keep pushing the word premium, then we need the entire car to match that. Not just the aesthetic, not just the design, not just the interior build quality, but we need the car to ride better. Can't handle any better. It handles fantastically. And the engine, again, is a fantastic inline-6 turbo. But if we could work on the calibration of the suspension as well as the transmission tuning, I think this would be a 10 out of 10 kind of vehicle. I'm not a big fan of Bose audio systems, but I will say Mazda's Bose audio system with this vehicle is very nice. I would also like to see them reach out to some even, you know, nicer brands when it comes to that. Maybe Rockford Fosgate, maybe Bang & Olufsen, you know, something like that. But other than that, guys, if there's any owners watching this, let me know your thoughts. Do you find that the transmission can sometimes be a bit jerky? Do you wish that the suspension was calibrated a little bit better? What are your thoughts on the engine's power and delivery of that power? And do you find that the build quality is up to the standard that you would be looking for when you're looking at something that you consider a premium vehicle? One last thing I wish this car had is a true mechanical limited slip differential. Even though it handles well now and it does use the brake system to kind of tighten up corners for you, we all know there's nothing that compares to a real torque vectoring differential. So that is one thing that I would also put on the wish list. But other than that, I think that Mazda is onto something really good here. Just need a couple of tweaks, and I think we'd be, like I said, a 10 out of 10. Right now, for me, this car is maybe a 7.5 out of 10. But with just a few minor adjustments, I think we'd be voting for all 10 here. Other than that, guys, Happy New Year. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.